When you saw an opportunity, you built a business around it. And every day since, you've kept a sharp eye on ways to evolve and keep your business thriving. It takes courage, creativity, and a clear perspective. At Bremer Bank, we understand that your business is the result of your hard work and ingenuity, and we're here to support you with solutions when you spot an opportunity to grow. Work with Bremer Bank, because understanding is everything.
Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire and demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast.
Hello there, and welcome to the Diversity Dude podcast. I'm your host, Lambert Fisher, marriage and family therapist, and award-winning author and national speaker on the topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. And for those of you who are interested in even more positive and encouraging tips and strategies beyond what I share in podcasts like this, then feel free to check out my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, nationally recognized for the unique way in which it addresses the often difficult topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. Designed for more than just therapists, if you're a helping professional in any way, Diversity in Clinical Practice can help you meet the greatest variety of cultural needs possible for those whom you serve. And it's available in paper and audiobook versions for your convenience. If you haven't heard it yet, I invite you to visit TED.com and check out my talk called What to Do When You Offend Someone, where I offer a positive and practical perspective on how to navigate unintentional offenses in daily life. To date, it's been viewed over 500,000 times. Check it out for yourself, and if you're encouraged by it as well, share it with a friend. And whether it be through my one-on-one relationship building efforts as a therapist or my informing and empowering efforts as an author and speaker, know that my personal mission is to do my part to improve the world one strengthened relationship at a time. So, today I want to share an encouraging perspective on honoring Women's History Month every day. As we appreciate the opportunity to live and make the most of another day, we can also make the most of seeing another March and thus joining in the celebration of Women's History Month. Just as other history and awareness months, the goal is not to celebrate women over another gender or even to limit that celebration to 1 month out of the year. Instead, the goal is to intentionally remember and appreciate the experiences and contributions made by women in distant as well as recent history. In part, out of appreciation for the impact they have made in our lives today, but also as inspiration for current and future generations who will make significant differences of their own in the future. While there are many ways you can consider doing so, I have another positive and practical recommendation for how you can consider doing so yourself, in hopes of it becoming less of a forgotten monthly novelty, but instead becoming something that's sustainable for days, months, and even years to come. Recommendation number one: intentionally celebrate significant women in history and today. One of the easiest ways to celebrate Women's History Month is to celebrate notable women in history. These often include women who were judges, political figures, activists, writers, scientists, actors, athletes, and more. And if you can't name 30 notable women in history, then take the voluntary challenge of learning many of the efforts and triumphs of new to you women in history at least once per day for the entire month. There's no minimum standard here, but there's several books that you can find that can help you do this, as well as websites that have short summaries that you can read and learn something new. And of course, if you're intrigued by what you read, then let every "I never knew about that before" moment inspire you to go beyond that brief summary and learn a bit more on your own. The purpose is not to remedy a limited history lesson you should have gotten in school, or should have, could have, whatever the case may be, but didn't. Rather, the goal is to help provide a more complete picture of the world as you know it, as you discover more about the significant women in history who contributed to it, not even just in this country, but around the world. And yes, for many of you, it may inspire you to take one small step toward being the next notable woman in history. You never know how history will view you and your efforts, but you can take all the inspiration you can get and make a difference where you are, and then let time tell. Recommendation number two: celebrate significant women in your life, your historical life, as well as today. There's no reason why Women's History Month has to be limited to the women who are in books and are commonly celebrated around the country and around the world. For just as the often celebrated women made a difference on a large scale, so were there women in your family history who worked hard, sacrificed hard, did everything in their power to help the next generation, including you, have the best chance to live a healthy life and make their own and your own impact in this world. Sure, most people don't know who your grandmother or your great aunt, or even that aunt who isn't biologically in the family tree, but she's always been so close that she's been integrated into the family anyway, and essentially is family. If you look hard enough, even despite any family dysfunction or imperfections that you may have to sift through, I'm confident that you'll find women in your history who have given in some way, such as you have benefited in some way. Maybe they struggled to pry a door open that you now get to walk through. Or maybe they fell into a trap that you now know how to avoid because of their sacrifice. Whatever the case may be, if the women who you are thinking of right now are no longer with you, then honor them by remembering them and their efforts and behaving now in ways that make the effort worth it. And if the women who you are thinking of right now are with you, then take the time to give them their flowers while you can, real flowers or proverbial flowers in the form of words of affirmation. Let them know that you see them, you appreciate them, and that your efforts are not in vain. And finally, recommendation number 3, celebrate the women you don't know personally. In addition to the notable women in history who many people know, and the notable women in your family's history who you know, there are also women everywhere who feel as though they have no notoriety, possibly even no family, and thus no one they feel knows who they are. And yet, they are waking up each day, doing their best to make the most of this life that they've been given for themselves as well as anyone else who can benefit, even if no one knows their name. Because of this, I encourage you to keep your eyes open for the opportunity to see women in your daily life, at businesses you may frequent, co-shoppers in the stores, neighbors who you don't usually interact with, or even those whom you randomly encounter. Look for random acts of kindness that they do, but they think no one sees. And softly say, I saw that. That was a very nice gesture. That's cool. Look for mothers wrangling their kids at the stores, feeling overwhelmed and gently saying as you pass by, you're doing an amazing job. I don't know if I could do all that you do. If the praise feels fake or false, then I beg of you to keep it to yourself. However, if it understandably feels forced, not because it's fake, but because it's not what you naturally do, then I share things like this. In cases of the practical practice makes progress sentiment, it can get easier over time. And it can feel a lot more rewarding the more you do it. It not only feels great to do personally, but the unexpected acknowledgement that comes from a stranger can have more of a lasting impact on the person who hears it than you think. With all this in mind, my hope for you is that you would have an appreciation for Women's History Month, seeing it not as a burden, but as an opportunity to intentionally, internally, and intentionally, externally, appreciate the experiences and efforts of women everywhere. Those who much of history remembers, those who only your family remembers, and those who worry that no one will remember them. It's not your responsibility to make anyone feel special. However, you can make the most of the opportunity available to you one day at a time. And if we're all doing that, then like most good things, we'll look up and realize that we've far outseated the March Women's History Month starting point and have made it a habit that we get to incorporate into our daily lives as many chances as we get the opportunity to do so. And with that, I say thanks again for listening to the Diversity Dude podcast. If you have any pressing diversity-related questions that you'd like me to address on an upcoming podcast, or if your organization is in need of a shame-free and empowering guest speaker or training on this often sensitive topic, then feel free to reach out to me directly at www.diversitymadesimple.com. And if you know of anyone else who can benefit from a positive and encouraging perspective on this often difficult topic of diversity, then feel free to send them a link to this podcast so they can be encouraged as well. Or share with them my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, available at Amazon.com. And don't forget to visit TED.com and check out my talk on what to do when you offend someone. I hope it inspires you and that you share it with someone else so that they can be inspired as well. And as usual, I look forward to addressing as many topics as possible in future podcasts to help you improve as many relationships as possible at work, at home, and in your community. And as always, remember this: you don't need to know everything about everyone in order to have a positive impact on someone. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a great day.
Tune in each week and find out how to demand and implement diversity at your job. To hear more, check out previous Diversity Dude shows on ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh, to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house creating broadcast quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
What's this North 5 game?
It's a $1 Minnesota-only lotto game.
Wait, what?
Yeah, drawings are daily.
Wait, what?
It also features Easy Match. So for an extra buck, if your Easy Match numbers match any of your draw numbers, you can win instantly.
Wait, what?
Plus, you can still win the big jackpot by matching your North 5 number, so you can win now and win later.
Wait, what?
North 5 with Easy Match. Win now, win later, whenever.
What's up, everyone? It's Shaletta. I'm here getting a phone for one of my newly minted teenagers with Xfinity Mobile. They've got great options, affordable plans, and solid coverage that works for our whole family. With Xfinity Mobile, my daughter can stay connected with me wherever she goes. And did you know when you sign up, you can get an extra phone line free for a full year? Switch to Xfinity Mobile today for more savings, more smiles, and more ways to stay connected.